Mine heritage, empowering mind.
So many things that are going to feed into our discussion today, which is financial literacy. And financial literacy is basically understanding our finances, knowing how to use our financial skills. That's personal financial management is what we are going to talk about today. Financial management is effectively managing your finances to achieve your financial goals and secure the future. Many times we make money, like he said, we go through school, you go to primary school, you go to secondary school, you go to university. Your parents are giving you money to spend, your relatives are giving you money to spend. But this money, you don't have to account for it. If today your father gives you 100,000, you can spend all of it and then your uncle will give you more money tomorrow. So you do not even understand that you're supposed to budget for your money. As long as you know that I'm going to be getting money from uncle so and so and so and so, you spend the money anyhow. And if you're living at university, you know that even if I don't have money, I can survive somehow, which is not the case when you get out of university. So what happens is we finish university, you get your first job. Now for us to get jobs, now for you people, you become your own CEO.
Immediately.
You start making a lot of money, but you don't know how to manage it. So here you are with a lot of money and you've never actually managed finances. I want us to first understand personal financial management and why we need it. So one of the reasons we need financial management is retirement planning. We're all making money now. He mentioned that he has stopped doing something because of healthy reasons. So as we get older, we start scaling down. You know, if now you're making the 76,000 euros on one art piece, as you get older, health issues might not allow you to make as many. So the income starts going down. So this is the time for us to plan for retirement. If you do not plan now, then in retirement, you'll start looking at your children. And then your children will also be starting their own families. You'll find that your son is getting a wife and starting to have children, but then you're also expecting him to give you money to go to hospital. Why? Because you didn't plan for your retirement. You're expecting your son to give you money to buy salt simply because you didn't plan. So it's very important for us to plan for our retirement. The other reason is better standards of living. It doesn't help us you make your money now and then you live large today and then tomorrow there's no money. So you first go through a very bad phase of calling your friends to help you with money until you sell the next art piece. If we plan our finances well, then we can have better standards of living. Our financial management also helps us in achieving our financial goals. Usually we set goals, but if we do not plan, then we are not going to achieve the goals. We have short-term goals and then long-term goals. But without planning, we are not going to be able to achieve these goals. There's also emergency funds. Without financial planning, we do not have emergency funds. I could have a lot of money now, but then if tomorrow, say I have an emergency, I need to take my father to India for treatment. I do not have money. I start selling land, selling a building simply because I did not plan for emergencies. So as we plan our long-term goals, short-term goals, many times we forget to have investments that are earning for us money but can easily be liquidated in case of emergencies at no penalties. So we'll go into that when we go into the unit trust and the bonds. We also have debt management. In Uganda, we are lucky. Most of us don't have education loans rather. It's in developed countries where people finish school and then they start off by paying very heavy loans. Here, our parents take us through school, but what happens is when you finish university, you want to buy a car, which sometimes you don't even need. But because we know that I've finished university, Judith is driving a car, I also want to drive a car. So I'll go to the bank, and of course the bank is ready to give me a loan and get a loan to buy a car, but I've not evaluated, is the car going to earn for me more money or it's just becoming an expense? Do I need a car? And sometimes I look at Liz. Liz has bought a car immediately after university, but maybe she has a sugar daddy who has bought her the car. We are not in the same bracket. We are not in the same bracket, you know. Our finances are different. For me, I'm starting out, I'm starting to work, and I am making my own money. But for she has another source of income that maybe she has not shared with the rest of us. So I'll go into a loan, her she doesn't have a loan. Or maybe it's not even a sugar daddy, but it's her parents. Some people have old money. There's also old money. People come from families where you finish school and they're already giving you properties and funds, you know, and yet for you, you're from a different background. So it's important for us to also evaluate and see where we come from. I will quickly rush through the steps towards personal financial management. The first one being evaluating income vis-a-vis expenses, which is one of the areas where we go wrong. Finish university, get a job earning 3 million shillings, rent an apartment worth 2 million. You know, simply because someone else is in the same. So it's important for us to look at our income versus our expenses. It's also important for us to set realistic short-term and long-term goals. I talked about this. Short-term goals, it depends. What do you like? Many times you see these days, every Ugandan wants to go to Dubai. You see, there's some pressure that's around Christmas. Everyone is taking their family out. Whether you can afford or not, your spouse can put you on pressure. We need to go, we need to go. It's important for us to plan for such things. If his family is affording a trip to Dubai, for me, I can take my family to Kisoro. It's also a holiday. But I'll sit with them, we plan and agree and say, look here, this is what I can afford. This is a short-term goal. The other thing is saving. You talked about saving. Saving is basically paying yourself before spending. When we make money, the only portion of that money that belongs to me as Judith is the savings that I do. At the end of the month, if I'm a salary earner, I'll get paid maybe 10 million shillings or 1 million shillings, whichever. I have rent to pay, I have school fees to pay. All that is not my money and is coming off this paycheck. So if I do not remove my savings, that means that I've not paid myself as Judith. I'm holding this money to pass it on to the landlord as my rent. I'm passing this on to the school as school fees. I'm going to buy groceries. All that is not my money. But usually we look at the paycheck and you think that, oh, I earn 10 million shillings. But you actually earn only what you're saving. A portion of what you're saving is what is yours. The rest you're just passing it on to other people. And the other thing is we need to create plans that reflect our desired dreams, but our dreams should be realistic. It is important for us to look at our dreams as individuals, not in comparison with other people. Sometimes you look at him, he has been in the industry for long, he has made a lot of money, but because he's doing these big things, you also want to jump and start from there. Usually it's important for us to start small, evaluate and see what you are able to do as you. Then the other thing is regularly reviewing our progress and adjust accordingly. I will review because life changes. I could finish university today and I'm an artist, I'm selling art pieces very expensively, but I do not have other expenses or responsibilities. 1 year down the road, I meet a man, I'm having children, so that means that my expenses are changing. So I also have to adjust my lifestyle, I have to adjust my savings. So it's very important in financial planning for us to keep reviewing. Most people we review many things in life. Okay, we discuss many things, but as partners, do you sit down with your wife and review the finances? Our money has grown. Our savings should therefore increase. Our children are now going to this school, they are paying this much. That means that our expenses have grown. Now this takes us to the next step, which is the budgeting. That's under the principles. Most families do not discuss budgets. When we are going to get married, you go for counseling, they will tell you all sorts of things, but usually we avoid finances, which is a very, very important aspect in a marriage, because when we get married, we become partners. And when you discuss budgeting with your partner, it also helps you as an individual in your finances. So basically, budgeting is getting control of your finances, knowing where your money is going as opposed to wondering where it went. Many times you ask yourself, I had 500,000 in my wallet, I don't know where it went. But you don't know where it went because you did not plan. You're just spending anyhow. Today is a Friday. He has been talking about swallowship. Many of us didn't come with a budget, but we have Visa cards, unfortunately, on us. And then your friends come around and you're ordering for bottles of whiskey. Before you know it, a bill comes and it's 2.2. And you have your Visa card, you pull it out. When you're going to swipe that card, you don't feel pain. But tomorrow morning, while you're in your bed with your hangover, is when it hits you. You didn't plan to spend 2.2, but because the card was there and you got excited, you ended up spending. Then you start wondering where your money went. So budgeting is knowing where your money went, directing your money where to go. So I usually share an example of what we can have as a budget. It depends, we have different expenses. So this is based on a Christian who number one will be tithe. You have a percentage going to tithe, that's 10%. Savings, I usually use 20%, but I've seen people who save up 50% of the money that they earn. You find a young girl, she has just finished university, she's earning $10,000, and she tells you, I don't need all this money. So she's able to save up to 20 million shillings per month. So we have rent, transport, bills, groceries, and entertainment. That's why. So if your monthly entertainment budget is 1 million, 2 weeks into the month, you've spent your 1 million. Do not go out the other 2 weeks because you've exhausted your budget. Now the problem we have is sometimes we under budget. You know that for me, my biggest expense is going out. And some people actually work while in bars. You could be going to the bar and that's how you sell your art pieces. That means that your bar expense should be a little high because it's also an investment into your what? Your work. You're going to sell, you're going to network. But also there's a risk to that. You can reach there and then you drink and fail to network. And then when the prospects you've gone to sell to are buying whiskey, you're the one who's partaking the most of it. And in the end, you've not sold. So there's clothes. If you're like my brother Taga here, who is a Rotarian, we have a budget for charity. If you have debt, there's debt and then miscellaneous. So your total expenses less the total income, you should always remain with something. Now, if you write down your expenses, your budget, and they're exceeding your income, then there's a problem. So you need to go back and review and adjust accordingly. Or if you're able to increase your income to match the lifestyle that you're looking for. But do not live in debt. Living in debt, I mean you're spending more than what you're earning. Every month you're spending what you're earning. Let's say you earn 20 million shillings a month, but you're spending 28 every month. That means the new month starts when you're in a deficit of 8 million. And then you start borrowing from people, you start taking loans from banks and then top-ups. Every time you pay your loan to 30%, you go and get a top-up. There are people who always have loans, not because they actually need the money, but they keep going for top-ups because they are exciting. Yes, so investment is where I think we are going to spend most of the time because that is why we are here. When we come to investment, it's very important for you to carefully research the different investment options to create various streams of income. One of the things that I tell people that's very important, you heard from the introduction she shared about me, I do not have one stream of income because it's very risky to have one stream of income. I have Mind Heritage, where he's a co-founder. I have Cozy Residences, I have Clear Path Medical Supplies, I have 2 Stars. This is because if one is not working, the other should be able to work. COVID came and we all saw what happened. People lost jobs. And this went on for a long time. It was not planned. So imagine a lady or a gentleman who was relying on only a job, but you have children who have to feed. You have a landlord who you have to pay rent. You're not going to tell your landlord that because of COVID, I am not earning. They still needed their rent. Even when shops in town were closed, they demanded their rent. You're not going to tell your children that today we are not going to eat simply because we do not have money. No. So it's very important for us to have different sources of income, so that if one is not working, the other is working. Or if all of them are working at the same time, the better. So in Uganda, we have the common types of investment. We have one of the oldest, which is real estate. We have commodities, that is I open up a kiosk and I'm selling commodities. But today, we are mainly here to talk about the bonds and the unit trusts. So the unit trust is the most common in Uganda. You'll hear people saying umbrella trust fund, umbrella trust fund. It is basically a collective scheme. That is why you hear umbrella. It is getting your money, her money, his money, and my money, and we put it together in an investment. It yields currently about 12% per annum, but this interest is calculated on a daily. So in simple terms, if I have 20 million as Judith, by the way, you can invest as an individual or as a club. So if I have 20 million in the unit trust as Judith, you will have a platform where you log in at the end of the day and you view and see how your unit trust is performing. So I'll log in at the end of the day and I'll see that I've earned 8,000 shillings. So at the end of the month, I'll see that I've earned 200,000. And if I do not withdraw this 200,000, it's added onto my principal, the 20 million. So that means it's compounding. The new interest for the following month will be calculated off the new balance. But then it has the flexibility. If I put in my 20 million, it doesn't mean that I do not top up on the 20 million. I can choose to top up. Today I could start with 20 million. After 2 weeks, I sell an art piece worth $50,000. By the way, you people who earn in different currencies, we have the dollar as well, unit trust. So I could top up 100 million on my unit trust. Midway the month, it doesn't matter, anytime you can top up. And since interest is calculated on a daily, my interest will be calculated off the balance on that day. So for example, if I started with 20 million, I started earning my 8,000 daily, and then 2 weeks later, I put 100 million. It will be 100 million plus the balance that was on my unit trust. Then now I'll have the new interest shared. On the part of flexibility, I can also access this money. That now brings me to the emergency fund that I talked about. Many times, like I said, we make money but we don't build emergency funds. A unit trust is very good for emergency funds. You want to build a trust where you know that should my mother, my father, myself, or anyone close to me, my loved one, need money urgently, before we start running around washing cars to collect money for hospital bills in India, what do I have as Judith to start with? As someone who has been in the field working, am I going to run to my friends without anything? If they ask, Olinawo Meka, what will I say? So when you have a unit trust, you know that you're going to keep topping up. And then this money, first of all, is earning for you. If I have 200 million in my unit trust, at the end of the month, I know that it will make for me 2 million. Should I need this 2 million, I can remove it. But if I choose to leave it there, it will keep growing. So my emergency fund is growing, but at the same time, it is also earning. The other advantage that the unit trust has is that it's exempted from taxes. So this money is not taxed. When you log in and see that your 200 million has earned for you 2 million shillings at the end of the month, there's no tax. All of it is your money. You can access it or you can leave it there to grow. So unit trusts, usually the process of opening is very easy. You just need your national ID, a passport photo, and then a cancelled check leaf or a one-page bank statement of your bank. The reason we require a one-page bank statement is when you're withdrawing money, it is put on that account. So if you have a checkbook, it's just a cancelled check leaf. The process of withdrawing money is very simple. You can fill in a form and share it on email, and then money will be redeemed onto your bank account. Or you can log into your app and then initiate the withdrawal yourself. And usually we advise clients to give themselves 2 working days. Much as the money can come, these days it's very fast, you can even get it that very day. But usually we advise that you give yourself 2 working days. So that is it basically about the unit trusts. Of course, they are regulated. And then now the bonds. The bonds are long term. These are government securities. So usually it's unlikely that an investment club will go into, or a club will go into bonds, but individuals do because they also earn for you good money. So basically bonds are long term and are issued by government to raise money. That is one of the ways. So usually when they come out, it's announced. But even before that, you cannot, like right now there's a bond usually from 5 years to 20 years. So the longer the bond, the higher the interest rate. There's a bond that's there's a 20-year bond now that's going at 17%. So how bonds work is when you invest, for example, 100 million, it pays you coupons twice a year. So if you get a bond, the example I have here is at 16% of 100 million. This means that at the end of the year, we have 16 million. So when you divide it into 2, because the coupon comes every 6 months, then we take off the withholding tax of 10%, we remain with our coupon value of 7.2. The 8 million less the 10%, which is 800,000, the coupon value is 7.2. So this means that every 6 months, I'm going to earn 7.2 off a bond of 100 million. So what most people do is you layer your bonds and see that every now and then you have a coupon that's coming out. I was talking to someone who was telling me that he doesn't pay school fees anymore because every time school fees comes, he has enough coupons to take care of school fees. And still at maturity, his principal will be there that he invested. So you can choose to layer your bonds as an individual in a way that you don't run out of cash. Every 6 months, you have a coupon coming out. Every 6 months, so if I have a bond that pays me in February, I could have another one paying me in April, and I could have another one. So you layer them like that according to the way you're able to. But for them, they are long term. So unlike the unit trust where you can get in and redeem, I don't advise people to use bonds for emergency funds. Though if someone needs to sell, you can sell on the secondary market. You want to sell, you come to us, and then we find someone who's also looking to buy, we connect you, and then they buy from you. but that is not the most ideal thing that you would want to do. So for purposes of emergency funds, I would say the unit trusts work better. But for retirement planning, having cash flows that are consistent, you can go for the bonds and you layer them in a way that every time you have coupons coming up. So basically that's it about the bonds and the unit trust.
Do I go in for shares, and how do I calculate the shares? Which companies do I look up to, or which trends should I check out before I invest in shares, and how are they different from the other bills?
Now, treasury bills are short term, very, very short term. For it, unlike bonds are mid-term, that's 5 years onwards, while up to 20 years. While treasury bonds are short term, you'll see three months, that's short term. So for them, when you're buying them, they are discounted. If, for example, someone is going to invest 1 million, say get treasury bills worth 1 million, you will find that they'll calculate for you the rate, and then maybe you'll pay 900,000. So at maturity, you get 1 million. The difference of the 100,000 is what you've earned. While on the bonds, like I said, you will invest. You will know that I'm investing at 16%. When the 10% withholding tax goes off at the end of 6 months, I'll get a coupon of 7.2. And then your maturity value, that's your investment, let me say the principal, will come at the end of the period. If you took a 20-year bond, then it will be at the end of the 20 years.